Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. So today we have a full review of Here's Negan, the board game by Mantic Games. So before we get into the review, if this is your first time here, thanks very much for watching. If you want to know more about board game reviews and miniature games, why not click the subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss any uploads from me. Here's Negan is the latest game from Mantic Games, and this is set alongside their Walking Dead All-Out War miniatures game. So it uses the same scale miniatures and a lot of the same or certainly familiar mechanics. However, it is a standalone board game and you don't need the Walking Dead to play it. This is a co-op game for 1 to 5 players and sees you playing the part of one of Negan's survivor crew, trying to clear out the old abandoned factory to make it their sanctuary. Now interestingly, you don't get to play the part of Negan, and you might be a little disappointed in that, but there's a very good reason. Negan is controlled by the game itself, and he's almost the clock that pushes you through the game and stops you playing too slow. So not only do you have the Walking Dead to contend with, you also have Negan's wrath. Now Here's Negan, the board game, plays very much like a traditional dungeon crawler and sees you having to clear out rooms to make it safe for Negan to progress through, find the exit. The game comes with 12 scenarios and sees you playing through them all in order in a narrative story and gradually getting harder as the game goes on. Now there are some very neat mechanics that are in Here's Negan. The first one, as I mentioned before, is it's a cooperative game, so it can be played solo. However, it can also be played with up to 5 players, all working towards a common goal. I say a common goal, however, you're one of 5 of Negan's saviours, and I'm sure you want to be his favourite. So whilst we're all trying to have a common goal of clearing out the sanctuary and getting Negan through safe, you want to do it the best and you want to be his favourite. So there's also a little bit of a competitive element to it. So as you play through the game, you'll gain reputation points for doing things like securing rooms or taking out walkers, and this really raises your profile in the eyes of Negan. So if you do manage to get to the end of the game and get Negan out safely, one of you will be Negan's favourite. Now another neat mechanic is the way the game ramps up the difficulty depending upon how many survivors you're playing. Now if you look through the scenarios, you'll see that there are different colour bands around some of the tokens and some of the rooms, and there is rules in the book that explain which of these are in play depending upon how many people are playing the game or how many survivors you're playing in the game. I thought this was a neat mechanic, and it just makes it that little bit more balanced depending upon if you want to play solo with only 2 survivors or if you want to play along with 4 of your friends. So onto the contents in the box. Now, as you can imagine with Mantic, there's going to be miniatures in this game, and there is 6 of the survivor miniatures. There's the 5 that you can play, and then there is also the Negan character. There are also 12 walkers as well in this, and they are pre-coloured plastic. They're coloured green, so you can just unbox it and play straight out of the box, and it's very obvious which are the walkers and which are the survivors. Now, if you're a seasoned miniature painter, you may well want to paint these, and they are fantastic to paint. However, there's no need to with that pre-coloured plastic. Now, one thing that does come in the box is 116 tokens. Now, don't panic just yet. They are really useful. They're not all needed at the same time, and the gameplay is much better having those tokens. That said, Mantic do include some little Ziploc bags as well, so you can punch them out of the big frame that they come on and keep them nice and safe back in the box once you're done. Now, also included are 106 cards. Now again, don't panic. These are split between event cards, which during an event phase, this will drive some kind of thematic event. There are room cards. So every time you enter a room, you flip one of those cards, and this tells you what is inside that room. There are the Here's Negan cards. They determine what Negan does when it's his turn, and there are also the supply cards. So when you find any supply tokens, you flip one of those over, and these can give you some benefits to help you save Negan through the sanctuary. Also included are 16 double-sided tiles, and these are the tiles that you will play on as your game board to drive you through the scenarios. Now they are made of quite thick cardboard, very good quality, and the artwork is also very nice. You also get a threat tracker, which is part of the game. You'll see that when you play. And you get a very nice little plastic Lucille bat as well, which is a nice little touch. It's just a kind of a counter that moves between players to see who is the lead player for that particular turn. You also get some dice, which are exactly the same as the ones used in The Walking Dead, if you're familiar with those. So the reason you came here for this video, what do I think about the game? Well, I have to say I have some pros and cons. but you'll be glad to know that the downside of the things I'm not as happy about don't actually change the gameplay of the game. So let's start with those. One is the quality of the actual player cards. Now I like the fact that they're a nice big size, however they are quite thin, and I would have liked to have seen something more along the lines of the tile thickness for these player cards, as there are only 5 in the game. Also, the little tracker for your reputation could have been a little bit better. Now there has been a slight change, so you'll notice in the rulebook it was more of a paperclip, and certainly the demos I played when I first saw it before it came out used this, and it kind of wrinkled up the edge of these quite thin player cards. Now Mantic have upgraded those actually in the finished version, and they are like almost stepped so that they slide a lot better up and down. And whilst I think these won't cause the same amount of damage as the original paperclips did, I think long term you may start to see some wear down the side of your card. Now this is it's a small thing, it doesn't change the way the game plays, but just something to be aware of. You may want to laminate or even just put some tape down the side of those cards. The other thing as well that I had a kind of a slight gripe about, I guess, is that each of the tiles are actually numbered in the corner. They have a letter and a number to determine which tile they are, which is fantastic. I've certainly seen this used to really good effect in games like Gears of War, which I've played before on this channel. The problem is, Mantic then have not referenced those numbers and letters in the scenario. So when you go to the scenario, you look to see which tiles you need. There's no reference to which cards, to which actual tiles you need to put out. It's not impossible to do. There's a very clear, detailed picture, and you can pick them out from that. And certainly the first time you do it, you'll probably want to write them down in the rulebook. However, this just looks like an omission rather than a kind of deliberate decision. Now, onto the good bits. One, I love a game you can play solo. It really does allow you to play through the game, make sure you can get your head around the mechanics, and then you can teach your friends and really play it through. So solo games always get an extra bonus tick from me. I love the fact that it's very sort of similar to The Walking Dead from a mechanics point of view, the way rolling to hit and rolling to defend, those kind of things, the way they all work quite similar. If you've played The Walking Dead, and I certainly have, you'll see plenty of that on my channel, then you'll definitely be familiar with this game. I like the way the scenarios have been balanced out, so no matter if you're only playing with 2 survivors or you're playing with 5, you have the ability to have a real challenge without it becoming overwhelming. I also like the way Negan isn't a playable character. He really does cause a bit of threat. Certainly in one of the demo games I had originally, there was a point where Negan got very upset because my character wasn't doing what they should have done, and he gave them a bit of a whack around the back of the head with Lucille. Now this actually killed him. Then because my character had been bitten, he came back as a walker. And because he came back as a walker right next to Negan, Negan hit him again and killed him a second time. So I died twice in one turn, which I thought was actually really thematic and is actually quite a lot of fun. I really like the way it's a cooperative game and you can play as a straight co-op, really helping out maybe younger players or new players, helping to get the objective. But once you get your head around the rules, that competitive side will really come out and you'll find yourself stabbing your friends in the back just to get that extra point of reputation. Now the game has been designed by Mark Latham, who also designed The Walking Dead for Mantic, so there's no surprise that it feels very similar. However, I think Mark has done a great job with this, and it is now a perfect entry point into the world of The Walking Dead. I always saw The Walking Dead All Out War as that perfect gateway game between board game players and miniature game players, and having this board game now just helps that along. There is a real entry point now for people that have never played the world of The Walking Dead, and also if you pre-ordered this from Mantic, you'd be able to get the cards for the characters inside to be able to be used in The Walking Dead also. So it's a perfect starting point to start your Walking Dead journey. Now I played this live on the channel a few weeks ago and I really enjoyed it. It was quite difficult trying to play it with viewers as I was getting them to interact with the game, but I think that showed enough of the gameplay to know exactly what you can expect. Now the game can be quite tense at times. You have that double threat of both the walkers coming in to try and attack you, and also Negan trying to speed you up and hurry you along through the game. Now I found this a really fun game to play, and I would definitely recommend it for you. A couple of negatives that I've mentioned are, again, as I mentioned before, they do not detract from what is an excellent game and actually can be quite easily solved with a few little tweaks. So, thumbs up from me, definitely check out Here's Negan, and you'll definitely see more of it on this channel. So, if you want to see that, along with many other miniatures and board games, don't forget to click subscribe, click the bell notification, and I'll see you in the next video.